What if you've been reading your dog all wrong? Let me ask you something. When was the last time your dog licked their lips? Not after a meal, not after drinking water, but in the middle of a conversation with a stranger, or when a child ran toward them a little too fast. Did you notice? Or did you look away? Here's what most people don't know. That lip lick was a sentence. A full, complete, grammatically perfect sentence in a language your dog has been speaking since the day you brought them home. Scientists call it the ladder of aggression, a behavioral framework confirmed by researchers like Turid Rugas and the Lowell-Reich model. The idea is simple, but it changes everything. Physical biting is almost never the first step. Before a dog ever makes contact, they climb rung after rung of increasingly clear communication. Lip licking. Yawning, not from tiredness but from stress. Looking away. Freezing completely still. Turning their whole head. Slowly moving backward. These are not random behaviors. They are words. And if we don't learn to read them, we're not living with our dogs. We're just sharing space with a creature we fundamentally misunderstand. The most dangerous thing you can do to a dog now, the growl. Most people hear a growl and immediately correct it. No. A sharp clap. A punishment. And within a few weeks, the dog stops growling entirely. The owner is relieved. The dog seems better. But here's what actually happened. The dog didn't stop being uncomfortable. They stopped being allowed to say so. Behavioral science has a name for this: learned inhibition of warning signals. You didn't solve the problem. You removed the dog's ability to warn you that a problem exists. The American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior has been explicit about this for years. Dogs who are punished for growling are significantly more likely to bite without warning, not because they became more aggressive, but because we surgically removed the step between discomfort and explosion. A growl is not bad behavior. A growl is a dog saying, "I am not okay with this. Please stop." The most dangerous dog is not the one who growls. It is the one who has learned that honesty has consequences, so they stay silent and then they don't. Punishing a growl is like removing the battery from a fire alarm and congratulating yourself that you fixed the fire. Applied animal behavior science. Your dog is not smelling the world. They are reading it. Here is a fact that should stop you mid-walk the next time your dog stops to sniff a lamppost for 45 seconds. 5M human olfactory receptors, 250 average dog olfactory receptors, 300 bloodhound. Peak scent breed, 40 times more brain area dedicated to smell. Dr. Alexandra Horowitz, one of the world's leading researchers in canine cognition, describes what dogs do on a walk as something closer to reading a newspaper than taking a stroll. Every lamppost, every patch of grass, every space another dog passed through hours ago, it's all information. Who was here? How long ago? How they were feeling? Whether they were healthy. And here is the research finding that should permanently change how you walk your dog. 15 minutes of a sniff-RE, a scent-focused, slow walk where the dog leads and sniffs freely, measurably lowers a dog's cortisol levels and pulse rate more effectively than a 30-minute brisk run. Let that land for a moment. The slow walk where they stop every 30 seconds is not your dog being stubborn. It is your dog getting the mental enrichment that no amount of physical exercise can replace. We have been optimizing for the wrong thing. We count steps. Our dogs need sentences. The hug. An act of love that gets lost in translation. Let's talk about hugging your dog. Before you get defensive, this is not about whether your dog loves you. They do. This is about biology. Dogs are cursorial animals. Evolution built them to run. Their entire nervous system is oriented around one core survival behavior. When threatened, move. The single most destabilizing thing you can do to a cursorial animal is remove their ability to move. Psychologist Stanley Coren analyzed 250 photographs of people hugging dogs, images pulled from internet searches and news media. His finding: 81.6% of the dogs showed at least one visible stress signal. Lip licking, head turning, ears pinned back, freezing. Now, important nuance because science demands nuance. Not every dog experiences hugs negatively. Dogs who were heavily socialized from an early age, who grew up with constant physical contact, who have learned through positive association that restraint equals safety. Many of these dogs tolerate hugs and some genuinely seem to enjoy them. The point is not, never hug your dog. The point is, watch your dog's face when you do. Are they leaning in? Or are they leaning away with a polite, frozen smile? The answer matters. Consent is not a concept reserved for humans. It is a biological reality for any creature who has a nervous system and a preference. What you train is not just behavior. It's a worldview. There are two broad categories of dog training methods. Aversive, which includes prong collars, shock devices, and physical correction. And reward-based, which works through positive reinforcement, clear communication, and trust. This is not a matter of preference. This is a matter of documented psychological outcomes. Research by Rachel Casey and colleagues, alongside related work from the University of Bristol's Animal Welfare Department, found that dogs trained with aversive methods develop what researchers call a pessimistic cognitive bias. In plain language, they start interpreting new, ambiguous situations as threats. Imagine waking up every morning not quite sure if today is a safe day. That is the internal world of a dog whose communication has been met consistently with punishment rather than understanding. The American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior's official position statement is unambiguous. Aversive training methods are associated with increased aggression, increased fear, and decreased welfare. This is not a fringe opinion. It is the veterinary consensus. And then there is the dominance myth, the idea that dogs are constantly vying for alpha status, and that owners must assert dominance to maintain control. This theory was built on 1940 studies of unrelated wolves placed together in captivity. Modern research on wild wolves tells a completely different story. Wolf packs are family units. Parents and offspring. Cooperation, not hierarchy. We built an entire training philosophy on a misunderstanding of wolves, and then applied it to domestic dogs who split from wolves roughly 15,000 years ago and evolved specifically to cooperate with humans. The dogs were right about us all along. We were the ones who got it wrong. Your dog is not looking for a pack leader. They're looking for a safe person. In 1969, developmental psychologist Mary Ainsworth published The Strange Situation, a landmark study showing how human infants use their caregiver as a secure base. When the caregiver is present, infants explore freely, take risks, learn. When the caregiver disappears, the world becomes unsafe. In 2013, Lisa Horn and colleagues at the University of Vienna published a study showing the exact same dynamic in dogs. Dogs with their owner present explored more confidently, were more willing to attempt difficult tasks, and showed dramatically lower stress responses. The owner was not the authority. The owner was the safe base from which the world became navigable. This changes how we should think about consistency. When you allow your dog on the couch on Sunday because you're in a good mood, and then push them off on Monday because you're in a hurry, you are not being strict. You are being unpredictable. And unpredictability, for a dog who uses you as their emotional anchor, generates what researchers call intermittent stress. It's not about rules. It's about the fact that your dog is constantly working to understand their world, and you are the most important variable in that world. When you become unpredictable, the variable they can't solve for is the one thing they trust most. Consistency is not about control. It is an act of love. It says, you can count on me. The world makes sense when I'm here. You can't scare a dog out of being scared. There is a common instinct when a dog is afraid of something. The vacuum cleaner, strangers, other dogs, to simply force them through it. Hold them near the thing. Make them get used to it. Wait it out. Behavioral science has a name for this technique, flooding. And it has a documented outcome, learned helplessness. What happens when an animal is forced into overwhelming fear with no escape is not desensitization. It is psychological shutdown. The dog stops struggling not because they're okay, but because they've learned that nothing they do changes what happens to them. That is not confidence. That is defeat. The gold standard, endorsed by the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior, the Fear-Free Initiative, and clinical veterinary practice worldwide, is systematic desensitization combined with counterconditioning. In practice, you introduce the feared stimulus at a distance or volume so low that the dog remains below their stress threshold. They notice it. They don't react. You pair that moment with something of high value, their favorite treat, a game, genuine praise. You repeat. Gradually, over sessions, the distance decreases. The volume increases. The dog's emotional association with the stimulus slowly rewrites itself. This takes patience. It takes weeks, sometimes months. But what it produces is real. A dog who has genuinely changed how they feel about the thing that scared them, not a dog who has simply given up fighting. Fear doesn't leave because you overwhelm it. It leaves because you replace it, one small, safe experience at a time. Closing the invitation. They've been talking. The question is whether we're ready to listen. Your dog is not a problem to be solved or a rank to be established or a behavior to be corrected. They are a being who has been communicating with you, clearly, consistently, and with everything they have, since the moment you met. The whale eye before the bite. The frozen body when the child moves too fast. The 45-second sniff that looks like stubbornness and is actually, neurologically, the equivalent of reading. The growl that isn't aggression, it's a boundary stated plainly in the only language available. None of this requires you to be a professional trainer or a behavioral scientist. It only requires one thing, the decision to pay attention. Start with the lip lick. Notice the yawn. Let the sniff happen. Protect the growl. Be the consistent variable in a world that asks a lot of them. They figured out how to live in our world. The least we can do is learn a little of theirs.